Pagoo, Chapter 17. A Fright, a Frolic, and a Farewell. Rain spurted over rocks and foam across the tide pools, a freshwater layer riding on top of the salty water of Tide Pool Town. Pagoo's shell, tossed from the ledge by the waterfall, bounced and skipped for an instant on the hissing layer of rain. When fresh and salt waters mingled, Pagoo lost speed and sank to the bottom. At first, there was a blankness of muddied water. Then Pagoo saw nightmares of frightened creatures rushing seaward. Dim shapes of crabs, fishes, shrimps, worms, lobsters. Swimmers and crawlers by the thousands were on the move to deeper places. They knew by instinct that unsalted water could kill them. Now this poisonous freshness was raining down. Even Pagoorus would have to hurry. At a low part of Tide Pool Town, tired Pagoo dragged his shell down into a canyon. As the canyon deepened, fresh water grew weaker. Except for being elbowed by crowds on all sides of him, Pagoo felt safer here. The help for the overcrowding was at hand. Every 12 hours, rain or shine, the tides roll in, and here it came. Strong new brine crept landward, making deep places deeper and more roomy. It salted the rainwater in time to save those beings not already dead. Night came and the rain was less violent, but a steady sea wind blew even harder. Pagoo and his neighbors felt their world shudder as billows surged over the canyon. Driftwood logs from northern beaches, timbers from long-wrecked ships hurtled shoreward like battering rams, while ropes of kelp lashed about in the undertow. Undertow grew strong as huge rollers crashed on the cliffs, rushing to sea again. Each flattened wave slid back under the next one, its tons of wild water ripping up sea bottom as it ran. This powerful undertow tugged at anything loose. It churned sand and pebbles. It juggled stones larger than baseballs. It hoisted bowling ball sizes for new waves to bat about. Even barnacled boulders, big as bus wheels, were lifted and heaved at the cliffs. Undertow sucked gravel from beneath tall rocks, and waves pushed them over. Tide pool scenery, which had stood for years, was shifted and changed. Time and again, this night, Pagoo came near to his death. Old Pal had yelled, "Sit tight," and Pagoo had sat. A log smashed into the canyon wall, starting a rock slide that buried a million beings. Pagoo clawed out of that gritty mess, only to be tumbled and rolled by kelp snaking past. A load of gravel streaked by like buckshot, yet all of it missed Pagoo. His shell was buried in mud, washed up, buried in sand, dragged out, and then it slid under a boulder. Pagoo edged farther under when a wave tilted the rock. When it teetered back, crunch. His shell was cracked like a nut, yet it held together. Pagoo was unharmed, but this wobbly boulder could no longer be trusted. He wiggled his shell out, found a sheltered place between a crab and a lobster, huddled there and waited for this wild night to end. The night ended, as all nights do, and the rain stopped. The storm blew itself out by sunup, but waves ran high and stones still rolled in the undertow. Food smells drifted everywhere. Pagoo left the crab and the lobster, hustled up the canyon, and hiked into Tide Pool Town. He marched among countless refugees returning. With speedy spurts and sidewise skitters, they dodged the rolling stones. Those creatures still alive began feasting on those who were not, as is the ancient custom of the sea. Pagoo had just finished a plate of clam when the undertow swirled him up, and a wave caught him and rushed him ashore. The wave carried him far up the beach and slammed him down on a rock. Noisy gulls flapped and feasted all around him, so this was no place for Pagoo. Besides, his landing had shattered his cracked shell. Now, like clothes being shed by a boy in a race to go swimming, Pagoo's covering dropped away from him, piece by piece. Only one small cup clung to his tail as he high-stepped down a retreating wave into Tidepool Town, and even that fell off. Bear Pagoo was badly in need of a home. After a storm is the very best time to look for seashells, and now a salmon brown, wavy top caught his eye. Knobs like pearls bumped its crinkled surface. He liked it so well that he prodded it only a little and backed right in. He curled his rear around the shell's inner column. Everything seemed perfect. It would have been wiser to make a longer inspection, but Pagoo was anxious to be on his way. This glittering mansion made him feel most important. He had grown beyond the boy hermit stage. He was big and strong, and he certainly felt like celebrating this fine day. He elbowed into a picnic here. He sampled banquet dainties there, and all day long he swaggered through Tidepool Town. And so toward evening he wandered back to the old hermit gang. He was fairly bursting to try out his newfound strength. Quick-witted sparring was going friendly enough until some low hermit found a hole right in the rear of Pagoo's handsome mansion, and the vulgar fellow stuck in his pointed toe and poked. Pagoo whooshed from that shell as another hermit had done after young Pagoo pinched him. Yet instead of sulking, Pagoo turned and charged at the gang. Surprised at such sudden fury, each hermit ducked inside and slammed his doors. This big boy meant business. This fellow was really on a tear. First one, then another of the gang felt his house lifted and banged down hard, and rolled like a bowling ball to crash against his neighbors. Why, this lad had become a raging billow, a mangling menace, the terror of Tidepool Town. It could not last. Pagoo grew tired. Eyes began to peer out. Huts and shanties flipped upright. Then it was as though someone yelled, "Look, boys! After all, it's only Pagoo, and undressed too. Get 'em!" Pagoo braced himself. He could face those charging from the front, but the thuds of the shell gang coming behind him simply left him all unstrung. Clearly it was time to go. With no heavy shell to slow his speed, Pagoo beat them all as they ran him out of town.